All right, so the warm up from yesterday. This asks you to graph a part of a function. So it says sketch the following piece of the given function. And right here, we give you y equals negative x minus 5. And we only want to graph the piece where part of the line that is less than negative 5. So let me show you what I mean by that, and that's on the x-axis. So the way I start these, and the way I start with graphing piecewise defined functions too, is to start just graphing the entire line and then erase the part that I don't want, okay? So if I look at this line, it's got a y-intercept of negative 5, and it has a slope of negative 1. So what I'm going to do is plot the y-intercept, plot the point here. Let's make it better. Okay, so I'll plot the point right here. And then I have a slope of negative 1. So that means go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, or left 1, up 1, like that. Either way, you end up with this line right here, more or less. Okay. Whoop. Okay, and so there's our line. And then the question is, well, but you only want when x is less than negative 5. Okay, so that means that all of the graph, all of the line that is to the right of negative 5, we want to get rid of all of that. All right, and then we'll make it a proper line that goes on indefinitely by making it an arrow. So this is what the graph of that piece of the line looks like. The next thing is, what is the domain of the graph you sketch? Well, the domain is going to be x less than negative 5, because domain is all of the x values that have outputs. In other words, all of the x values that correspond to y values. Or a third way of thinking about it is all of the x values that are covered by the graph. So if I look over here, all the x values that are covered are to the left of negative 5. If I asked you, is 0 in the domain? You'd be like, no, 0's over here, and there's no graph at x equals 0. So 0 wouldn't be, right? None of this over here is in the domain, okay? So that's what the domain is. Any questions on the first one? Okay, I'm just going to kind of walk through the next two. I'll go a little bit quicker. The second one is shorter here. So y equals 5, only between negative 5 and 3. So I'm going to just start by sketching the whole line. Y equals 5, that's a horizontal line at y equals 5. This. But then it says only graph the piece that is between negative 5 and 3. So I'll take my eraser and I'll get rid of, whoops, that's too much. So we want from between negative 5 and 3. So there we go, negative 5, and then up to 3. So about like that. Okay, so there's the graph of that one. And then it says, what is the domain? The domain, again, all of the x values that are covered by the graph. So from negative 5 over to 3. And so we'll just write that real quick. It turns out to be just this, right? Just that interval right there. So let's take, and we'll just write negative 5 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3. Okay. All right. So questions on number 2. Okay. Number 3 then. Sketch the following piece of the given function. So here we've got the line 2/3 x minus 2, but only when x is greater than 3. So again, I'm going to start by plotting the y-intercept, negative 2, which is right here. Okay. And then the slope is 2/3. So that means go up 2 and right 3. So there will be another point, up 2, right 3. There's another point. We'll just use the line segment tool. We'll just sketch a line in here real quick. All right, but then it says we check the, well, this is called the constraint. So we check the constraint and it says only when x is greater than 3. So starting at 3, we can just erase everything going back this way because we only want that piece of the graph. So get rid of that, make it an arrow. And then we should be good. There's the other piece, and the domain is just when x is greater than 3. All right, any questions on that? Whoops.